just all.
May I take just 30 seconds and put a suggestion on the table for the board for consideration, and we can also talk about this more when we talk about the board calendar. We have had a number of, we've had lots of correspondence from folks about the issue of the board attorney contract. I'd like to recommend that we build in 30 minutes to an hour at our board session as a discussion item on February 6th to meet with Mr. Miller to talk about scope of work, timeline, fees, and those related kinds of issues. And I think having that public dialogue is so important. And I think it would be good also for the board, as opposed for the board members to meet individually with Mr. Miller. And I do appreciate the reaching out and the extension to have those conversations. I know that when we meet Jeff's questions, I learn more information. It also triggers for me other ideas and questions. And I also think it is a public dialogue too that our community can hear as well.
So you're asking for a February 6th agenda item to do what exactly?
To have a conversation with the board attorney who was hired by this board to talk about scope of work, timeline.
Can I ask, did we do that with Al Taggart? He was hired.
That's a really great point, because those are two very separate issues, and I think that's where a lot of this confusion has lied. We have a CEO who heads the organization, Dr. Stevenson. Dr. Stevenson hires staff, her leadership team, and others. That's her role. The board, in this case, hired an attorney for the board, not a replacement for Mr. Taggart. There is a process that's underway, a transition plan, and I believe resumes have been received, and there's a candidate who, I don't know, maybe you can talk to us, Dr. Stevenson, about that. But I think that's where the confusion has come in. Mr. Miller is not replacing Mr. Taggart. He's merely advising the board.
That's a good point. So
And
let
those are the
me
issues.
respond to that.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, I appreciate the desire to have dialogue. I think it's valuable. I want to make sure that everyone on the board has open and continuous dialogue with the attorney who is there to support this board in understanding policy, in understanding documentation, in understanding legislation, and how it relates to our decision making. It is not an unusual attorney relationship in any way. The agreement is public, it has been published, it has been debated more than enough, and quite honestly, I don't want to waste any more time. The decision is made, we're not going to keep this.
Let me share one final reaction with you. My concern is that the board never had a conversation about the contract. The board took a vote on an issue. We didn't know we've had this conversation, so I'm not going to repeat it, but we didn't talk about fee. We didn't even have a contract when we took that vote. And so there were a lot of concerns as a result that had come out of that. I think what is unfortunate is that all the coverage that we've seen over the last month or so since that conversation has distracted. It's been good conversation, it's been the right conversation, but it distracts from the work that this board and that I know each one of us really wants to focus on,
That's a good
which
point.
is great schools for our kids. So that's why I would make the argument, though, to have that public dialogue that we didn't have early on, so we can ask those key questions. We do it as a 5-member board. It's not one-on-one. We have an opportunity to ask those questions about scope of work, and then we move on.
To your point about distraction, I think I'd like to end the distraction because I don't want to revisiting the same decisions again. So I'm opposed to that agenda item. If you'd like to make that motion on an agenda alteration,